Really happy to be back at ThingsCon. So I research new technology, what the impact is for society, and therefore for the role and work of the police. And it is quite broad. And today I want to share my thoughts and struggle with you about agency in a synthesized world. And I'm saying struggle because because I don't have examples of situations going wrong, but I do see that in the physical world we're going down the same road as online, sharing a tremendous amount of data with unknown entities, data being used to train algorithms for direct feedback loops to better improve products and services, but also indirectly being used to build profiles or to train AI for more insights and to add layers of information and interaction to our reality. And I'm here from the Dutch police as the one looking at the dark side, because also in our organizations, I do see the advantages of AI and the Internet of Things, but I think the majority of people is already focusing on the advantages, on the convenience of those products. So I'm always entering a little bit the dark side. And when I look at it, I see that in all these developments, it's still marketing and commercial goals that drive these trends. And we know from online that the systems and the mechanisms that then emerge can be abused by criminals or other actors, undermining our safety and our democratic values. So while I don't have concrete examples, I'm looking for ones. Examples of how in the physical world, not online, our data is being used to manipulate our behavior in malicious ways, or in ways that, I hear a peep, decrease our autonomy, our freedom, our safety, and our democratic values. So, what worries me most about this is the immersion. So it's ubiquitous in our environment without us being really aware. The increasing amount of senses that are being affected. It's not just our eyes, it's also feelings, what we hear that is being affected. And the way hyper-personalization is now possible thanks to neurological and biological feedback loops and the possibilities of generative AI. Now, what I'll do, I just take you in what I know. And to start, maybe very simple, with an example of a smart chair, for those who are not really familiar with the principles of smart objects and the algorithms. So, just as an exercise, let's take this smart chair that is in an 8-story office building. We have in the Netherlands a lot of buildings where you have flex workspaces, but to prevent people from wandering around all 8 floors looking for a free spot to work, you could use a smart chair. You have to know where the smart chair is located, and then you can add a sensor, like a pressure sensor, to know if someone is sitting on it. But you know, if you get up, but also we Dutch people, when we are on holiday early in the morning, we sneak downstairs to put our towels on the chairs near the swimming pool as to reserve them for the rest of the day. The same was happening in offices, so people put their bag on the smart chair as to reserve it for the rest of the day. So more and more sensors were added, like a temperature sensor, to know if it's dead or a live weight that was sitting on the chair. But if you really think this through, you will notice that you cannot manage to make a digital twin only based on sensors. There are always norms, assumptions involved. For example, have the developers thought about people in a wheelchair or people using a standing chair? And more crucial, what is the definition for free? As some companies might say, yeah, you can go to the toilet or get a coffee, 30 minutes, and we'll keep this chair reserved for you. Other companies say you can attend a 3-hour meeting, and we'll keep it occupied for you. And this is where we get alternative realities. We have the physical chair, and we have the virtual one, and they can differ. If you ask the company looking to the through the system to reality, they will say that the chair was occupied at a certain time. While the person sitting next to it will see it empty. So now don't we only have filter bubbles in the online world, on the internet, but also in the physical world. And for us as a police, and I think for many people, it's important to understand these phenomena, for example, if you want to check an alibi. So what I want you to get out of this is that digital twins, there's a lot of talk about it, but there are always approximations of reality. And it's important that we know and understand the assumptions being made. It's not only the objects, also you see that of inside, what you see is also that digital twins are more and more getting agency. Beforehand, they were used for insights, simulations, maintenance, and now these twins have agency in the real world. And my favorite example is the smart bin. The digital twin of the bin is based on a filling sensor, and when the bin senses that it's full, it plants itself in on the route of the garbage truck. And from a perspective of smart cities, of livability, that's a really good application because you have less CO2 and you have less garbage next to the bins because they are full. But once you understand the workings, you can also manipulate it. So I'm a big fan of one of those garbage truck drivers. So every now and then I stick in a leaflet as to make the bins appear full and have him drive past my house. Like with the chairs, if you know and understand how things work, you can manipulate it. And this is just being basic IoT. This is from a presentation I gave already like 5-6 years ago. What you now see is also that the surroundings are scanned and are transformed into digital twins in your home, but also outside. Beforehand, Google could only access from the infrastructure to make the street view information. Now we have Pokemon Go players go in the inaccessible areas and making gathering information that Niantic now uses to develop this world model. But the same as with the chair and the bin, also these are approximations. As Niantic says it themselves, they haven't scanned the back of every church. But because they have scanned so many churches, AI is able to fill in the gap. And they see that as a reassurance. But as I've written, for me it's wondering more and more about, while we're getting more dependent on these digital twins in the physical world, we tend to forget their approximations of reality, and we don't really understand or are even aware of all the assumptions that are building up this picture of reality. Also, on a personal level, you see that more and more data is collected in more and more places. I didn't realize how many cars already have cameras, and how the technology behind it, under the excuse of safety, is being developed to check, for example, in your eyes if you're getting too tired, and maybe you should take a rest before driving on. A lot of money is going into getting information, very personal, intimate information out of your eyes. I hope it's readable. It's about gender, biometrics, geographical origins, if you're ill or not, your mental state. All these traits, they claim they can infer from your eyes. And most of it, I can guarantee, is not even scientifically backed. But it's sold like this, and a lot of organizations, companies, buy these applications. To generate additional layers of interaction and information over reality. This is a windscreen from the car, and the idea is that you can have a lot of information implemented there, also ads for new movies, and even games anticipating the self-driving cars. So you can play a game catching something in the street with your car while being driven autonomously. So this as a bit of an introduction from what I have been looking at and what is worrying me, what the impact will be. Maybe some interaction. Does any of you have experienced that their perception in the physical world was impacted by data they have shared in the context of the Internet of Everything? Not the social media, but more in the context of physical interaction. Anyone? You're very silent, you noticed already. Someone in the back, yeah? Can you elaborate on that?
Well, there are certain groups that don't have access to because there is a filter there.
I cannot, can you, please? Sorry. I'm still recovering from a severe flu, so my ears are not...
I'm thinking that security systems in buildings that have access control, for example.
Yeah.
So there is a computer system that has centralized locks and you have access to only certain places. So I can think of that as an example of physical world influenced by quite literally a digital filter.
Yeah. And is it using profile data or personal data or...
Well, identity data is probably anonymized, but it's definitely linked to an identity that you carry with you, right?
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Who amongst you is using navigation systems? Everyone, I thought so. When you use a navigation system like Google Maps, it is a digital twin of the of our infrastructure. And it uses the phones as a sensor of there being a traffic jam or not. And I love, that's why I like to come to things, because I love the way designers and artists work, because they make you look at things in a different way. This artist, if you know how it works, you can manipulate it. So he went with a cart full of phones over a bridge, and suddenly there was this traffic jam in Berlin. So people came at work complaining because they were late. It was so busy, it was incredible. I had to drive completely around the center because of the traffic jams. Well, people already arrived by foot, having just told how nice and quiet it was downtown. Two perceptions of the same reality, and we're not noticing it because we don't think about navigation systems as a digital filter through which we look at reality. Another example are the health apps. A lot of people use these health apps. They decide that we have to take those extra steps at the end of the day. There's also sleeping apps being used. And I had a presentation a while ago about someone who studied all the health apps. There are also relationship health apps I didn't know about. And now people are judging their relationship based on what the app says that should be normal behavior. The same counts for sleeping apps. So there's this psychiatrist who explained that he was asking people, how have you slept? And they were like, oh, bad, I slept so badly. And he asked, why? What happened? The app says so. So people are not using their own senses anymore, but replacing them by machines, digital filters, apps, to decide for them how they feel and how they perceive reality. And this is something that at least we as well have to take into account because it has always been difficult, a testimony or to really understand what people have experienced because we all have this bias in our brains. But now there is an extra layer that you have to dive into to understand how people have come to certain actions or to certain conclusions about what they perceive in reality. And these examples are still linked to the mobile phone, and that's my, thank you. Now I know I'm halfway my presentation. And people, but what I'm looking for is more, even more physical examples. And I haven't got them yet, but I think Johanna has already left the building. You still here? Oh, super. Because I'm a big fan of your video. And you showed a small clip, well, I want to show a little longer clip. I can recommend everyone to look it up online. It's on Vimeo. The QR code doesn't work, so you don't use it. But for me, it explains where the world is heading. And you made this already in 2017. So I'll just show it. Oh, sorry, the sound is not working, but you can imagine. Oh, no, the sound is crucial. I'm showing it anyway. Try to get sound. We tried that. Not at the same time. Well, so it's the object communicating with each other. I'll try to fill it in. All by myself, I'm gonna feel all by myself. I don't even know the text anymore. It's such a waste because it's so well done. Yeah, but you can imagine this. Yeah. Look it up. Why, for me, this is such a great example? Because it shows how it affects our behavior. Would we have turned the radio on otherwise? This is completely unaware of what's being happy. We're suddenly listening to the radio. So it's very simple, but it's about our autonomy. And will we hide our feelings in the future, afraid of what the things will make about it and how they will treat us as a consequence? And with whom is all that data about us shared? Who are the entities who have access or can buy it via brokers, via illegal ways, able to target us then at our most vulnerable moments? So thank you. Finally, I can thank you personal, because for me this is what we are heading towards. And it might seem far away, but there are a lot of companies really looking to enter in this space. Spotify did use the microphone for a while. It is thanks to our European regulation that they don't do it anymore. And what I talked about, who can access this data? I took a look into the Samsung Smart Things. And I was a bit shocked because I hadn't realized that they are compatible with every imaginable supplier of smart things. Cars, everything. That means all this data flows through their server. And I'm not saying that it is not legit or necessary to make it work, all those different things together. But when I read their privacy statement and see what kind of data is collected and with whom it's shared, it isn't not really comforting. And yesterday, maybe you have noticed, the XR platform from Google is, the Android XR platform was announced. And the first hardware company that they're working with is Samsung, meaning that through those classes they also get access to all that neurobiological data, our most intimate data. And I'm not really sure if our legislation is well enough to protect us against this. On the other hand, I don't really have examples of things going wrong. And I know most people like these applications because that make their lives really convenient. If you look at a platform, that Android XR platform, there's always your AI agent, ready there. It's not that you have to say like, hello Siri or Alexa. It's always there, looking at what you are looking and helping you making sense of the world. But who controls the way it's working? Who controls my body, who is always around me? And of course, I will forget that it's there, because it will be part of me when it's always present. So these are things we are looking into, and it might seem strange that as a police we are focusing on these topics, but luckily I get a lot of space to research, because only if you can oversee the developments, you can look through the hype and see the underlying trends that really affect safety and constitutional values in the long term. So we are broadening, and if you have any ideas, please do share them. Looking forward, what we see is, I talked about this body, but it's that the big money is now going in not making everything smart, but also connected, but also making it intelligence. More and more objects are getting AI inside. And this morning, the good talk from Matthew Webb, he had created these 3 personas. You will have personas all around you. You can all day, you can interact with your fridge, have a good conversation with your microwave. That is where it's heading. And on the other hand, a little further ahead, but also much in the history, talking about generative things, they can also evolve. They will evolve by themselves from machine learning in those agents, leading to hyper-personalization in their interaction with you. But you have Professor Eibe, and in 2015 he showed that robots can also reproduce themselves. We already know from software, AI, that it can evolve, improve. He did this research because he wanted to see if we put robots on Mars or deep undersea, they have to adapt to the circumstances. We cannot predict everything. So he showed how robots could meet each other, and only those who survived could then mate and autonomously use 3D printers and create new baby robots. I went talking to him in those times, and I really think that it was in the presentation this morning, so maybe this is the full circle, that things will also adapt physically to our needs and to our personality. So to conclude, I think my time is up. I think we're heading for enormous impact of the Internet of Everything having a real revival now, with more and more products getting connected, with AI added, and which leads to a very immersive, ubiquitous layers of information, digital filters that impact our perception of reality without us being even aware of it, and without us understanding the underlying mechanisms. And my task is to find out how that will impact autonomy, our freedom to make the right decisions for ourselves, to access reliable information, our safety, manipulation, crime, and our democratic values. Because as I said in the panel this morning, if we are all perceiving a different reality, it's very hard for a government or a community or a city to do decision making. If someone has all the garbage in the streets, you know, Amsterdam, filtered out of sight, they won't mind there being that much garbage, while others will see it and will complain about it. But as you don't have the same perception of that reality anymore, it's very hard to direct the funding in cleaning up more, as an example. So, thank you. Oh yeah, and in safety, I just want to, it's also, we're connected to your phone, but I do think this is a very dangerous development. I think, I haven't tested, it's one of the things I would like to test, how much information Dutch people is available via American data brokers. Because what's happening there is that that data is used to track people visiting abortion clinics. And we're heading in different times, so it's important that you can maintain your anonymity in public space. Thank you.
Thank you.